Who Knew? We are fans of the current series of Doctor Who, and here we discuss our likes, dislikes, and insights into the modern regeneration of the show. Visit our website, whoknewpodcast.com, email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter and on Facebook at Who Knew Podcast. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher, or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/whoknewpodcast. Today's episode is episode 6 of season 3, The Lazarus Experiment. With today's technology, you no longer need to search for the fountain of youth. You can create it. This episode is written by Stephen Greenhorn, directed by Richard Clark. It originally aired on the 5th of May, 2007, and it was watched by 7.19 million viewers. Hi, this is Eugene. Let's introduce ourselves.
Hi, this is Frank.
Hello, this is Kelsey.
Hi, this is Auburn.
This is Josh.
Hi, this is Brian.
We have a guest with us today, Heather.
Hey everybody, it's Heather.
And we met Heather at King Trivia Doctor Who Trivia Night, and she was great.
And they lost by 1 point.
1 point.
Oh, Vampires of Venice.
How did you get introduced into Doctor Who?
I had some coworkers who were watching it, and I thought they were insane. The TARDIS was their ringtone, and if you've never heard it before, it sounds like some kind of alarm going off. And I thought it was obnoxious. So one day, I'm watching TV, and I see it's on, and I turn on. You guys have not gotten to this episode yet, but so I won't say anything. But I was watching Amy's Choice, which is an 11th Doctor episode. That is, you kind of have to know what's going on to understand it. And even though I had no idea what I was watching, it totally sucked me in. I really wanted to understand it. So then I went back to Christopher Eccleston's first episode, and I started from the beginning.
Do you like the TARDIS sound now?
I love the TARDIS sound now. It finds a warm place in your heart.
I was the same way, though. Whenever I would hear that noise through people who were into it, I was like,
What
who came up with that? Why is that even a thing that someone would be like, yeah, let's decide on that noise for our TV show? And now it's like, yeah, of course, why not?
What else would it be?
What else would it be? It's the
Because
TARDIS.
now when I hear it, it's just get your
I know.
adrenaline going, and it's just pumped.
Can you remember, though? Can you remember the first time you heard the TARDIS sound?
No,
No, I can't.
I do.
because
I just remember
You
thinking,
never forget.
some of us had watched it for a while. I remember
Okay.
Tom Baker, the 4th Doctor.
Yeah.
So we've grown up knowing that sound.
Yeah,
and
with
it
that
just
wheeze.
is. So hearing it every time.
whenever I hear it, I just come running to see if Rose still loves me.
How's that work out for you?
Not good. I had to go to another dimension to deal with it.
We are missing Arlene. She is busy doing graduation-y thingies. Martha finally returns home from her quick trip in the TARDIS, 12 hours after she left, local time. She receives a call from her mom and learns her sister, Tish, is on the TV. Tish is with Professor Lazarus, who claims that tonight at the Lazarus laboratories, he will change what it means to be human. The doctor says goodbye and leaves in the TARDIS, only to rematerialize a few seconds later, reiterating what it means to be human?
I love this cold open.
Yeah.
Do you?
This cold open gets an A++ for me. And yeah, I really like it. I like, I can list the things I like about it if you'd like.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes.
Do
Okay.
it.
Go ahead. No, make us guess.
I like that we arrive back at, Martha's bedroom and then so that goodbye between the doctor and Martha I think is really emotional and really good. And I like the doctor in this moment. And I think for me, I didn't really like the doctor in season 1 and 2. I didn't like that romantic side of the doctor. And so season 3, when I watched moments like this, for me, I am a little bit biased because season 3 was the season that I fell in love with the doctor. And I think a lot of that had to do with the romantic relationship being one-sided on Martha's part. And then when he leaves, the music, that cue that starts playing as he starts to come back is just also really, really good. And then he has that funny line that just gets you and you laugh. And then it slams into the main titles. And so I just really like this cold open.
Yeah, that music piece is Martha's theme, but it's the crescendo part and not the previous part, which is more somber.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great use of that theme, like you mentioned.
This is interesting. I had a totally different idea of how I felt about it emotionally.
Me too.
I thought it was cold.
Me too.
I thought it was cold, and he picks up her underwear and teases her, and then I wrote down here, she says, yeah, things just kind of escalated, and he says, seems to happen to me a lot. Burn. Like, oh, you're just one of many. That's what I thought.
I also agree because I have in my notes, I don't like the doctor's attitude, at least the beginning half of this scene, because it's almost like he's playing that surprise, you're home. And I think that's a little bit mean of him to do that to Martha, because she's going to be disappointed. He knows what it's like when people leave the TARDIS. He's acting very oblivious to it.
But it seems like he's acting oblivious.
He is acting oblivious, which is what to me makes it worse.
Yeah. I think this is sort of like a springboard off of a few episodes back when we were arguing whether or not he was oblivious or not to Martha's feelings. Here, I feel like he knows what's going on, and he's just sort of playing dumb, like obviously playing dumb. But I do think he's more invested in it than he was prior.
Shakespeare Code.
Thank you.
And I agree with that, but that makes me dislike it even a little bit more. I don't think it's out of character for the Doctor.
Feels out of character at this time because we have just seen him for so long be sort of a romantic figure and very considerate, and so it's not
That's
out of
true.
character for him on the whole. But at this period, we've just gotten used to the Doctor one way, and now we're kind of seeing a different side.
That's a good point.
It's a little jarring.
He's basically on the rebound.
That is totally what's happening.
Yeah. He's aware that he's on the rebound, and he's like, I'm not dealing with any of that mushy stuff.
He's like, I need space and
But he can't
time.
help himself. I need space and time.
I'm in between the two of you because I find
You
it
going to move
having.
over?
Thank you. I find it has really fun moments in this opening, but he is setting her up. He doesn't tell her where they are, and he is in the TARDIS. He says, "There's no place like it," which you also think, there's no place like home, and he makes that heartwarming memory of Wizard of Oz into a disappointing. It's over, and now you're stuck in everyday life again.
Well, he's also isn't he kind of bait her too? Like, that was it. Just one trip.
Right. ...
Like, expecting her to bite, and then when she doesn't, he does seem disappointed.
Maybe it's a
Character
reverse
motivation
psychology
there.
thing, though. Maybe he expected all along that he would come right back, even before he heard that
He's
line
realizing
on the TV.
she's not Rose. It's like she doesn't play the game.
She's not gonna beg you to
Right.
stay.
Because she doesn't.
Right.
Well,
So that's what I kind of like about Martha going, she's not going to play these games. She's a straight shooter.
yeah.
And it's like, fine, you don't want me dying. and he's trying to, I don't know if he's trying to be coy or
I
what.
don't think he knows what he's trying to be.
Right.
I would agree with that.
I also like that he brought her back 12 hours after she left.
Yes.
The
That's
Same
correct
as
12
Rose.
hours.
Same as Rose, what he had said he was going to do, but that was 12 months instead of the 12 hours.
I never
But this,
thought that.
he got this one right.
Yes.
And is it because he's now a different incarnation of the Doctor, so he puts priorities differently?
he talks about it right before they land, like something like impressed with his own landing or something like
Right.
that.
Well, also, the TARDIS brings him where he needs to be. He needs to be at this time.
Oh, that's right.
But is that for Martha or is it for the television show?
Why can't it be both?
But you did fail to mention that the man on the television who says he's going to change what it means to be human was an old man, a very old man.
Yes, it is.
I know it'll come up, but I'm just mentioning it now.
Okay.
Yes.
Martha and the Doctor are invitees to the press event, where Martha's mother, Francine, takes a parental dislike to the Doctor. 76-year-old Professor Richard Lazarus steps inside his machine, and it begins to twirl and radiate blinding light. As control panels are exploding, the Doctor rushes over and stops the machine. Martha runs to open it, and out steps a much younger Professor Lazarus.
The safety issues in that room alone
I agree.
are crazy.
I agree.
They don't have OSHA in Britain.
I mean, not a rope, not anything. That
least a
thing
velvet rope.
was whizzing so fast.
And didn't it
I
look
was
kind of
not safe.
TARDIS-y to you?
Yeah.
I wonder.
But that was. I was more distracted by that than any other thing in the scene. Somebody's gonna get hurt on my mother's son.
Several things I noticed. The lab assistants look like something out of Robert Palmer's
They
Simply
do, they're
Irresistible.
models. They were models.
They're wearing
Like,
like black dresses and lab coats.
Oh, I think that's a
Jeez.
comment.
Are they
on
really?
him.
I didn't notice that.
That's definitely a comment on him and
On
Yes,
Lazarus,
ab-
yeah.
ab- absolutely.
lecherous
Oh, that's
nature.
funny.
The whole "you smell wonderful." What is that?
Yes.
Soap.
Like gross.
See, he's just a dirty old man.
Yeah. Ugh.
The age makeup. What did you guys think of that?
I thought it was good.
It's not bad.
I
I thought it was really good for especially television. But I
Yeah.
thought it was a good. I didn't recognize the actor.
That's true. I
That's
didn't
true.
Yeah,
recognize
well, I
the
didn't know
actor.
who that was when I originally saw this. So
I'm glad you didn't have to be in it long though.
Yeah.
yeah, no,
I,
That
yeah,
probably
I agree
helped
with
make
that.
it good.
But he did sell being 76 years old pretty
yeah,
well.
and he's a writer on this show, right?
Yes.
Yes.
But not this episode. And at this point, we all go, Mycroft.
Oh, there it is.
When Mark Gatiss steps out of, or young Lazarus steps out, says something. His mouth is very yellow, and in the commentary they said it's because of he was drinking ginger ale. Or,
Oh, I was
his
wondering
tongue
about
was
that.
yellow.
I
Yes.
just noticed that.
yeah, and it bothered me, and it bothered me the
Ginger
first
ale
time
will
I
do
saw
that.
it, and it bothered me still now.
I mean, you really
Interesting.
notice it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I did.
I wondered if it was part of the makeup or it was
also
just the lighting.
lighting.
I
I
thought
thought
it
it
was
was
probably the
lighting.
lighting.
It's
or he
whatever
was sick that
he was
day.
drinking.
Who
What
knows?
kind of ginger ale?
I don't know, but he said
turns your
ginger
mouth
something,
yellow?
so
British ginger ale.
whatever.
His makeup, the old age makeup, like I said, I liked. I didn't like the wig. Kept going from
yeah.
shot to shot.
Yeah, I think that was one of the reasons he just looked so different, and it didn't look like real hair.
I had to look it up on IMDb.
Well, I think
This guy's so familiar. Who is
Yeah.
this?
I think I learned that from you guys on one of our recording days.
The Unquiet Dead. I think that's the first one he wrote.
Well, there you go.
Yes.
Eugene listens to our episodes in his sleep.
I don't have time for sleep.
There's a few moments that I want to talk about real quick before he changes, before Lazarus becomes young. The meeting, the doctor meeting Martha's family, I think was a great moment and really funny, and a reminder that the doctor does not do well with mothers.
Right.
And she
Mothers-
says, Doctor what?
Yeah.
Instead of Doctor Who.
That's true. I didn't even think of that.
I
Yeah.
didn't catch that. Yeah. And then I had a question. When they're walking into the party, the doctor's talking about his black tie and that nothing good ever happens when he wears that particular
Tuxedo.
tux. Is that a? Do we know what he's
It's
referring
from
to?
the Cybermen episodes.
Okay.
When he was the waiter.
Nice.
But that's also a lie because this is a new tux, he said in the commentary. The one in the Cybermen episodes is like very light, like polyester, and then this one they got a proper tux.
Okay.
But it's still the
But it
tux.
looks the same. It's and it's supposed to be the
Yeah,
same.
I'm just saying for
tux.
behind the scenes.
That's behind, right. But for the character.
Yes, it's still
the same
supposed to
tux.
be the same suit.
I like how he reacts to the James Bond comment. At first, he's like, "What? Oh, all right."
And his loosening the tie, he said in the commentary, was to James Bond.
Oh, really?
And also that reminds me of the parallel between James Bond and the Doctor. Like several actors have played this character.
And they've reinvented it. We've
Yeah,
had
and
different
rebooted.
kinds of James Bonds, and we've
Yep.
certainly had different kinds of doctors.
Absolutely. One quick note: Leo Jones is played by Reggie Yates. That's Martha's brother, and he is good friends with Noel Clark.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Mickey Smith.
So yeah, he had a very good like geek out moment. Like I grew up watching Doctor Who, and then now I'm on Doctor Who, very much like Mark Gatiss did.
Oh, nice.
So that
Wow,
was-
are there
that was
age
great.
differences really that big? Oh, you're talking about
Just
growing
in
up
general.
watching the class.
Just in
Okay,
yeah.
I thought you were implying that he grew up watching Noel Clark.
No.
I was like,
Old Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who.
gotcha.
So yeah.
I liked the variations throughout the whole episode of Martha's theme.
This is my
Because
favorite
you had mentioned
one.
it at the beginning, but then this, when they're going into the cocktail party, it's still Martha's theme, but it's
It's a cocktail-y
they
version
have it
of
with, they're
Martha's
playing
theme.
it on like the cello, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just how they manipulate that piece of music throughout this episode. I thought was great.
I'd have to go back and listen.
I like the scene where Tish is talking to Martha about the job that she has. And, Martha's kind of like, wow, you got a job in PR. That's pretty good. And she's like, not only that, I'm running this whole thing. And she's like, wow. And you're kind of left with a little like, well, what's going on here? That's kind of weird. But they don't overplay it.
It's sort of implied that Martha's the smart kid and Tish is the pretty kid.
Yeah. So there is kind of like a little sibling rivalry kind of going on there. Or is there?
Also, maybe Martha's starting to think that she's been distracted from her original life path by traipsing around the universe.
One part of that conversation between Tish and Martha that it was weirder to me just because obviously Martha's been on this journey that they don't know about, but wasn't she pretty close with her family? And it made it seem as if Tish was on a journey without Martha.
Yeah, but Martha's only been gone 12 hours.
Exactly. And she doesn't know that Tish is head of PR for this or that she's she seemed a little too surprised at Tish's.
Well, because
job.
it seems like things are happening for Tish really quickly.
Yes.
Literally overnight.
Literally
Yes.
overnight.
Maybe that's a subplot that was sort of taken out where Lazarus promoted her because he liked her.
Well, and I think it adds to Lazarus his creep factor. And we get that little later with her interview. Comment about her interview skills.
I always saw that more as a reflection of Martha. She's being distracted by, Leo's birthday for her the night before. And other things are going on, and with Annalise and all this. And she's walking to work, handling everything from the first episode.
Yeah, that's right.
So she's involved in everything, and she knows, okay, she's working at the PR firm, but not listening to some of the details. And I think going on these journeys had to go, wait a minute, I'm not paying attention to what's really going on. So I think that was kind of, to her surprise, it was kind of a wake up going, I got to pay attention to what's happening.
She was sort of like the parent.
See, I want to know, they show the pictures of her and Tish at Martha's apartment.
As children.
As children.
Yeah.
And they're the only two. I mean, Leo wasn't part of that picture. It seemed like Tish may have been the older child, but Martha seems like she would be the eldest.
The older child's not necessarily the one who has their act together. That's
I mean, Jan was pretty much the most stable one on the Brady Bunch.
true.
What Brady Bunch were you watching?
By the time they got older, that is.
Lazarus seems well, but is famished and begins to ravish the canapes. The doctor says that these kinds of hypersonic transformations always cause an energy deficiency, and that is why Lazarus is so hungry. He continues to berate the professor because Lazarus couldn't possibly have accounted for all the variables. Lady Thaw, Professor Lazarus's partner, tells the doctor that the device will be certified by the time they begin selling the procedure to the public. Martha is shocked and says that tests need to be run to determine the after effects. The professor kisses Martha's hand and departs with Lady Thaw to his office. The doctor and Martha decide to run their own tests using the DNA left from the kiss.
I really like this moment when Martha picks up on that.
Yeah.
Her thinking. Martha's starting to become my favorite companion, I think. She's real smart and with it, and like you said, she's straightforward. She's not like trying to always hide her feelings. And
she didn't try to get the DNA. It was just,
Right,
but she put it together right away.
Right
going,
away.
Well, good thing I have the DNA right here.
That was actually a thought I had, though, is they're standing about 3 feet apart from each other, and he's saying tons of things that disgust her, and yet she actively holds out her hand to be kissed. He doesn't come grab it. She puts it up for him to kiss. And I remember thinking, as somebody who went to school for acting, like, that was an interesting actor's choice. And then, of course, when we found out that it was a DNA sample, I had to question whether or not she knew that from that moment or not. It's such a small thing.
right.
But I thought it was odd that she was standing there in disgust and then actively gave her hand to him.
I mean, I bet you that's it then.
Because I saw it as just she was going to shake his hand because he was leaving. And he's the one who raised it up to kiss because her reaction seemed like she didn't think he was going to kiss her hand.
I mean,
Maybe she
he
was
kind of invited, but she was the one who did all the work on that. I remember specifically being confused by that. Like,
Well,
why
tell
would
her-
you not just be like, ugh? Like, no,
Right.
thank you.
Tell us your thoughts. Do you think Martha did that on purpose? At Who
I'm
Knew
going to rewatch it
Podcasting.
now. Go look. Because I looked at it and I thought she just did it to shake his hand goodbye. And her eyes are very expressive. And to me, it seemed like she was just surprised that he
Maybe
was
she was
just
surprised
giving
at
her a
how
kiss.
gross it was.
How yellowy his mouth
It
was.
was.
Yeah, maybe she was like, why is his tongue yellow?
Ginger. Ooh.
He's
Because I
got
like your
jaundice.
interpretation of it.
I mean, I could be overthinking it. It could have actually just been an acting thing, like, oh, I forgot I'm supposed to let him kiss me, like, and that was the take they used. Like, it could be something as simple as that.
But she also wants proper tests to be done. That's what she was
Yeah.
saying. So, because I
Either
like
way.
that more.
Yeah.
I like Martha's forethinking that way.
Because I can't think of any other reason after that
it could've
little
been.
exchange that she would be like, oh, here, please, kiss my
Right.
hand.
But Martha's family seems more upper crust. So I
we
don't
thought.
think she would pull away if someone's going to kiss her hand. It's like, that's not proper. You wouldn't pull away at that and insult a person. It's like you go through it.
Yeah, it could be
Bring
either.
bear
I'm
it.
not sold on either one. It was just something I observed.
Either way, she got the sample.
I also have a favorite line of the doctor's here. It's not the time that matters, it's the person.
Refresh my memory when he says that.
When Lazarus is saying, people can rejuvenate and have many, many lifetimes. And so then the doctor just replies, it's not the amount of time that you have. It's basically what you do with the time you have.
He's saying some people can do more in 20 years than other people do in 80.
Lady Thaw is looking forward to being rejuvenated, but Lazarus doesn't want to spend any more years with her. She gets angry because she invested in this project so that she can be rich and young again. As she threatens to go to Mr. Saxon, Professor Lazarus begins convulsing and falls to the floor. His body mutates into a large scorpion-type creature and drains all life out of Lady Thaw. He reverts to his human form and returns to the party.
The acting combined with the sound design of the cracking really sold it on me.
I agree.
Yeah, it was pretty gross. The only thing that bugged me, pardon the pun, but bugged me, was when she's asking him all these questions about what's wrong, and he can barely talk or even contain. Like, is it a seizure? Is it this? Let me get out with my little handbook. Tell me which one it is.
Let me look it up on WebMD.
Yes, hold on.
WebMD.uk.
I appreciate that they don't reveal the whole
Yeah.
monster at
I very
this
much do.
moment. I almost thought the first time that that turns out to be the tail was the face.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Which in retrospect, I sort of wish it was.
Yeah, that was going to be my next line. Yeah.
If the acting that Mark Gatiss does, there's one part in particular when Martha says, "Tish, he's a monster," and behind Tish, which she cannot see, is Mark Gatiss like zombie, like Michael Jackson Thriller happening. And if I laughed out loud, it was hysterical. Like I don't know how the people on set were not rolling on the floor. It was a good moment. You should all go back and watch that moment. Or may somebody make it into an online GIF.
We'll point it out when we get there.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I want to know more about their relationship, how long they were together.
Yeah, well, it seems
Lazarus?
like since they were younger.
Yeah,
don't get
because
that.
he doesn't want to waste another lifetime with her.
Oh, that's true.
He doesn't want her to be rejuvenated.
Yeah, he already spent that time on her.
So,
He's sick of
but they
it.
don't seem like a couple. They're
So
not
maybe
married.
they've been working on this project for like 70 years.
But
And
you
they've
would
been
have think
working
after
over
50 years, you would have, especially since he seems to be so shaped by the Blitz and his attitudes towards life, that would have come up in 50 years.
Right, they didn't seem like they knew each other.
They didn't know each other very well.
Because their main investor, Saxon, is the one who seems to have brought all this
yeah,
together.
I agree.
Yeah.
She doesn't. It does not seem like there's any love there, even before the obvious line.
Right. But then when they kiss, it's like, so there was something.
Probably just a workplace affair, or you know how those things are.
No, I do not.
Well, and at the beginning when he first talks to Tish, like he does it in front of Lady Thaw, but he does it with his back towards her. So even though he is like lecherous and a creep, I think there is something more there with her, with Lady Thaw, where even if it is just writing checks, like he doesn't want that to stop
Right.
at that moment. After he's rejuvenated, then he's on top of the world. But before then,
Right.
he knows that she has some power over him.
He's keeping her around for something.
Martha and the doctor discover that Lazarus's DNA is unstable. The rejuvenation process has awakened long dormant and rejected DNA. They don't know what Lazarus will become and head to his office to find him, but instead discover Lady Thaw's mummy-like body on the floor. They are afraid Lazarus will drain others, so they quickly head back downstairs.
I like the elevator gag. I thought it worked.
When they were in
They're
the
running
thing.
down, get the elevator to go down, just as the
yes.
other one opens up, and there's Tish and Lazarus coming out.
You know, I mean, they're going for the cliche and the joke. So, and yeah, and Tish is like,
what is Tish's motivation
Tish is
here?
kind of going a lot. Like I
She's
know
playing
what
the
he's.
game.
Yeah, she knows what he's expecting, and she seems to be kind of okay with it. So
Yeah, that struck me as odd.
Yes.
Especially in contrast to her, soap comment earlier in the episode.
Well, maybe it's showing that she's superficial.
no,
That
not
it's
no. I know it's not
maybe.
looks. It's power.
Yeah, I think that's
This
it.
is her boss, and so I think she's.
But
gonna,
wasn't he still powerful when he was old?
Yeah, but now he's young and
Now he's successful and powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
well,
'Cause it
and
worked.
he's not old and creepy. He's actually age appropriate.
And he's invented a machine that makes you a lot younger, so he's going to be really rich. So.
I don't know if it's that age appropriate because she's early 20s and he's.
Well, it's not
old,
gross,
but-
is what
right.
I'm saying.
Maybe it's just that I don't
It's a
want
cathode date,
Tish
yeah.
to be that person.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Maybe that's what it is.
Exactly.
Right.
And I was saying that she's probably getting that from her dad's side because of we know how her dad is.
They both like blondes.
Right.
Yes.
Young.
Yeah, it's also this moment walking out of the elevator that we learn a little bit more about how Tish got promoted to head of PR. He's like, well, what kind of experience do you have? And she's like, none. I guess I just, had all the right attributes. And then you're like, oh, because you're hot and young.
I think
And
it's
I'm
mo-
just going to say, or is it? And I'm going to leave it at that.
Why? Because I agree with her totally. I don't understand what do you mean, or is it?
He's going to leave it at that.
Okay. All
Yeah, I'm going to ignore these, or is it, Colin? That's your second one.
I've got more too, by the way.
I'm sure I'm going to ignore those too.
Yeah, I
She
think
has
it's
the proper attributes.
Or
That is
does
true.
she?
No, she does. but no.
What those attributes are is
Up to you.
ellipses.
Yep.
Well, I agree with you
dot,
guys where I think it's more of a commentary on him and now like saying now he's young, now it's okay. So his life is now changing, which makes it more enraging that he turns into a monster to himself.
Why does Lazarus seem perfectly okay that he keeps turning into this monster? Like he is unbothered that this horrible side effect
Yeah.
Because I think it's changing his brain. He's thinking, I'm getting better. Because it's
like
messing
the
with
new
his
age.
brain.
He's the frontier of the new age
Yes.
of humanity. Like
He thinks this is
everyone
the
is
next
going to
step in
turn
evolution.
Into, yeah, maybe.
to borrow a quote from the doctor, like, have you looked in the mirror lately? Yikes.
But yeah, I was going to bring up the parallels between The Fly, the 1986 version or 7 version of The Fly, and Lazarus. They both go into a chamber. They change. They end up being some sort of weird creature,
You're totally right. This is totally that.
except minus one transformation pod. There's only one.
All right.
Well, now you're just getting nitpicky.
Well, now we need a Martha line. Be afraid. Be very afraid. Back at the party, Martha's brother Leo tells them that Tish went upstairs with Lazarus. Martha and the doctor chase after them, bumping Francine. A strange man approaches Francine, asking about the doctor, and warns her to be wary of him. On the roof, the doctor and Lazarus have an ironic talk about whether regenerating over and over again is a blessing or a curse. Lazarus begins to transform again. Grabbing Tish, they run down the stairway, followed by the Scorpion King.
So this is the point that you're talking about with the thriller.
Yeah, sorry, I guess I got a little ahead.
That's fine.
Apparently there was a long gap where I didn't write it.
Yeah, no, me
You're too busy retching it. He's gross.
But that scene, he's in the background. You're watching Tish and Martha in the front talking. So you have to get off the action of what's happening to look at the back. And I
That's
did
what
it
made
last
it so
night, and it
funny.
was just it was nicely done. That was good.
He committed to it. I love it.
I like the idea that his brain is changing, but I think it does also play into what we've been saying, that this season is kind of kiddie-like. Like, well, now he's okay. Now he's in disguise. It is very reasonably rudimentary storytelling visually.
Well, it is also, too, that Lazarus is a monster regardless of what he looks like.
Commentary.
I do. The scene on the roof, it's another example of Tennant and Gaddis. They're really good actors.
Yeah.
You know, and they're saying this dialogue. In lesser actors, it could come off really corny or over the top science fiction-y, but they sell it so well. They really bring out the emotion of what this would really feel like and what this would really do to a person. And the doctor's coming from experience, and Gaddis is coming from, ooh, look, shiny and new.
When he had the makeup on as the old man, he was starting to do old people gestures. Like they added dandruff on his jacket, but he kept licking his lips like old people do, and like doing things with his mouth. And like, holy crap, this guy really looks old.
Or could that just have been white hair powdered, uncomfortable makeup? No, I mean, even if it was, he worked with it.
Yes, he did.
It was good acting.
And he kept he also said he kept wringing his wrists and his hands and things like that. So he really committed to the old character and the transformation. So this guy's in it for 100%.
So this is the first time the full monster is revealed. The as you called him, the
We've seen it
Scorpion
now.
King.
Yikes.
Aside from the actual face, the thing looked pretty good. The compositing was good. It always felt like it was in that space. I think it looked better when the jaw opened because it looked more monstery.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I give it 85% because I think just that little 15% it was the face, but the rest of it I think looked okay.
And the face, why?
To
I
me,
don't
it
think
looks
so
nothing
either.
like
I
it.
think that wasn't intentional. Like that was the best
They
they
tried.
Looks
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
like
they did try.
Voldemort to me.
did.
Right.
Voldemort with a nose.
But some behind the scenes on that is that Russell said that he wanted to show something that had never been seen. So he took the back page of one of the scripts and started to sketch this out. He gave that to the Mill, who's the people that run the special effects department. And one of them got that back page script with the sketch, and he had Russell sign it in the intention of you need to sign off on this.
And they kept it.
Yeah, and he kept it.
Darn, that's smart.
Do we want to mention that this is the first time we see the sinister man talking to Martha's mom?
Like, yeah, we could mention that.
Who is this
I would
creepy
like.
You
secret
just
guy?
did, I think.
Then mission accomplished.
Do I know what rhetorical means?
She was such an easy target. Like,
Oh,
she
yeah.
was already
Prime.
primed. She was kind of on the other team, even though she didn't know there was another team. Yeah, he just whispered in her ear and it was over.
He's like Slugworth from
He
Willy
was.
Wonka.
Yes, I
You just
agree.
needed somebody to go, run home.
The doctor and Martha take refuge inside the machine. Lazarus turns it on, but the doctor switches the polarity so they are safe inside while the energy is radiating on the
A
outside.
third Doctor reference.
And a Superman 2 reference.
Yeah, I thought that as
That's
well.
what I was thinking.
When the machine winds down, they find a still young but dead Lazarus on the floor. An ambulance takes away his dead body. Well, probably dead. Well, possibly dead. Spoilers, his name is Lazarus. Francine slaps the doctor and orders him to stay away from Martha. They hear the ambulance crash. Lazarus has escaped.
The second mom to slap the doctor.
Yeah. And what does he say?
Why is it always the mothers who hit me?
Yeah,
Is that-
something like that. He makes note of it. I really like the whole sci-fi idea of the dormant human
DNA
chain that just didn't go in that direction, that he awoke and it went in that direction.
Yeah.
Why that would evolve in that way,
Who knows?
Who knows? But I like that idea. I also like the comedy of the tight squeeze.
Yeah.
Going off of Brian's comment a little earlier, the technology is kind of Gallifreyan, like it's
Yeah,
Sonic.
it's all Sonic. Everything about this so far
yeah.
is
And
Sonic.
they got,
Yeah.
we can't say.
And one of the things about
There it is.
the chamber is that it's kind of reverse. Like it looks big, but it's smaller on the inside. Like it's a tight fit. That was one of the things. Because when just Lazarus was in it, it looked very big
Yes.
Yeah.
from our shots. And then when Martha and the doctor get in it, it's very, very small.
And
yeah.
it took the doctor longer to reverse it than he had expected.
Because he's a little bit out of practice, which is what Eugene is saying is the third
Or-
Doctor reference.
Or is he?
I see what you did there.
Touche.
I think there's a little foreshadowing going on, is what you're saying.
we had
Yeah,
a touche
but
and
I
a
forget.
foreshadowing.
Well, I don't. Yeah, we'll bring it up later.
Or will we?
Or later.
Oh,
There's a lot of open-ended things going on here. He compliments her shoes, so he was on the same plane as me.
They did really pop.
They were very nice, yes. But maybe this is just the female in me, but that thing in her hair, it was so distracting. She had like that giant headband.
Yeah, it
with
was
spark-
sparkly.
I liked it because of the sparkles that would give off.
I don't.
I thought she looked great
I
with that.
noticed it, but I didn't find it distracting.
Okay, then it must be a personal thing because every time I saw it, I was like, ugh.
Doesn't Tish have like little
Yeah.
I loved those.
wavy?
Oh my goodness. All right, so we have two camps here.
Tish's makeup was like 6 feet deep. She was like Mimi from
Too
Drew
bad,
Carey.
too bad we don't have Arlene to comment on that.
Really?
Yeah, I took it there. Which has nothing to do with the plot, by the way. It was just the fact. I mean, I noticed it.
Well, I think maybe that was all about the whole Simply Irresistible.
Could be.
Palmer, like all Lazarus's employees were really done up.
Right.
Anyway, I got way off topic there.
No, that's topical on our show.
These are our likes and our dislikes.
That's.
Are they?
Heather didn't like the headband,
I did it.
but
did
she
it.
liked the shoes.
That's right. Oh, that's where we got onto this. Okay, so we're back in the tight space. Okay, back to that.
And again, Martha's eye acting seemed. We're in all this, and you're talking about my shoes. She's not used to that. She's not on that level of compliment at this point.
That was a good reaction cutaway to her. That was great.
And another definite tease moment. They always put the doctor and Martha in these
Right.
literal and figurative tight spots, and
And it is, you can see Martha, she definitely wants more relationship with the doctor. And a guy would only compliment your shoes if he wanted that relationship.
true.
So it's like, what, another kind of double
But I also
entendre that you're giving me? That I don't understand. What do you mean by that?
I think it's an interesting moment because I think it is another one of those, but where seeing Martha's reaction is a little different. She's more about, she's affected by it, but she's not like a little schoolgirl anymore. She's trying to figure out what to do, and that's just sort of a side note. Whereas in earlier episodes, that would have meant more to her than the situation they were in.
But to me, it was, you're bringing this up now. It's
Right.
like, wait a minute.
I don't think it's lost on either of them that they're in a very
right.
tight space and his head is all down in the lower extremities.
Around her
When
knees.
he goes down, you're like, ugh.
At the moment, they're about to die, so it's not like top priority. But
Right.
I did think that there was probably lots of discussions in the tone meetings, where it's like, make sure she has a really long dress on.
yeah,
Because this is what's going to have to physically happen, and this is a kid's show.
That would have been a fun part to see, be a fly on that wall of where they would go with this and how far they want to go joke-wise, how far they want to go with all this.
We have the writer's room law now.
And let's act this out. Okay, you two stand together. Here we go.
Maybe they just use the action figures.
oh okay.
They follow him to Southwark Cathedral. The doctor reminds Lazarus that death cannot be avoided and it's part of being human. Lazarus needs to feed, so he changes back into the scorpion thingy.
Technical term.
Martha and Tish lead him to the bell tower. The doctor plays the pipe organ and amplifies the sound waves with the sonic, which destabilizes the professor's DNA. Lazarus falls to his death, his body returning to his 76-year-old form.
Well, the doctor tells them to go to the bell tower.
Yeah.
Well, he tells Martha, I have an idea if I can get him to the bell tower. And he doesn't, I actually like that. I noted that because he doesn't tell Martha, hey, can you lead him up to the bell tower? He's like, I have an idea if I can get him to the bell tower. And then it's Martha who's like, no, I'll get him to the bell tower.
Yeah.
He tries to stop her. He screams after her name, Martha. No!
Yeah, doesn't she sort of like give him the slip?
Yeah, she takes charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, she sees that it's a better opportunity for her and Tish to lead,
Be the bait.
to be the bait, rather than the doctor in the way that they're positioned.
Right.
And she just takes it and runs with it, literally.
But it's for her to run. She didn't think of her and Tish. Tish just follows.
Oh, really?
And to me, that seemed like the way they grew up as children.
Oh, okay.
Tish is going to follow Martha into some adventure. And that's why I thought Martha may be the elder. But it could be, still
Do we
Tish
know
may
for
be
sure
older.
that Tish is older? I never.
We don't.
Oh, okay.
But just looking at it, even when they were younger, it seemed like Tish was
Martha,
taller.
Martha, Martha.
So when they
My
were really
younger
young.
sister is taller than me.
Back when you were like
You're not born in cell
Born-
phone
No, but-
bar order.
in 4 or 5 years old. No, but they had young pictures. So it's not like as they're an adult, because that's different. But when they were children, 5 years old, by the look of the picture, 5, 4, you would think that the elder one would then be tall, just the way it looked. But now it seems like Martha's the number one. She's the one who goes out and gets it. So that's what made me think maybe she is the elder of the two. But it seemed like Tish would always run after her because it just seemed so natural. And Martha didn't say anything about Tish. Oh, we're going. So because Tish would always follow her.
I was just saying, as a sister, I really enjoyed the sister dynamic in this episode. And you like, if my sister ran up a bell tower and a monster was about to chase her, you better believe I'd run up that bell tower with her. And I don't even know what my motivation would be other than my sister's running up a bell tower.
Well, I think
So
too,
am
it's,
I.
when you see someone who looks like they know what they're doing, you're gonna follow them.
Well, that too. But also, I think it's more internal.
It's more of the internal.
Yeah, like
Because it's like, it doesn't matter what your motivation is. You don't have a
Yeah.
motivation at that point.
Yeah.
That's your sister.
You
That's
have
your dynamic.
loyalty. You have loyalty.
And she says to Martha, like, this must be some guy. Like, she trusts Martha's judgment
Yeah.
about the doctor.
But when Lazarus breaks away from the ambulance, the doctor runs over to the ambulance after the crash.
Yes.
The Martha's following,
And
and
then
Francine's saying, Martha, don't do this. And Martha doesn't even answer. She just looks at her, shakes her head. No, I got to do this, but without saying anything. I love that she didn't say anything
And then what
and
does
follows.
Tish say?
And then Tish
The
is
sister-
going to go, and Francine says, "Not you too."
Yeah.
I
Tish
can't
follows
remember what she
Martha.
said, but it was like
She does. Francine does say, "Not you two."
right, but can't remember Tish's response. Something, I have to go, or I can't remember exactly what it was.
don't know.
But she was, it's Martha. I gotta follow Martha. So it seemed such a tight relationship between the two, which I liked. So playing
And
off
that
that.
also may be why at the beginning of this episode we only saw pictures of Tish and Martha as young kids, because this is their story. Like
Yeah.
their younger brother is just kind of there
Yeah.
to remind us that Martha has a broader
That's a bit-
family.
Right.
Because honestly, like he's kind of a wimp in this episode. You see him like when they're all outside and he's on the stairs and he's had a concussion or whatever. He's not even holding his own ice.
Yeah.
His
mom is
in
Yeah.
his mom's arms. I'm like, oh, such a typical younger brother.
Yeah,
move
he's the
there.
baby of the family.
Hey.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was such a baby move. Like
Somebody's jealous.
I'm a 21-year-old. I'm gonna be cradled by my mom. At
But
this
he is on the side of his sisters.
there are burdens to being parents' favorites too.
He wasn't a really well-rounded character.
No, but
Leon.
I did like how he wasn't like a foil to whatever Martha was doing. He was in support of that side of things.
Right.
Like, what's your problem, Mom? She met a bloke.
But he even tries to take a jab at Tish, saying, well, she's the one who put all this together, so it's her fault, really. And nobody pays attention to him. It's like he's trying to do it, and nobody cares what Leo says.
So he's like Bobby.
He's like Mickey when we first meet.
Right. Exactly. I love it. I really like the moment when they are in the bell tower and Martha slips and is going to fall to her death, and Tish is the one that actually saves her.
Yes.
She's not just some ancillary side character. She's someone, and it's kind of like there's a lot of other shows like the game show one. I'm sorry, the Weakest Link one. What was
Bad
the
Wolf.
name that we
Linda
thought-
with a Y.
Linda with a Y. She looked like she seemed like she was going to be a companion. It's almost like Martha's the doctor in these scenes, and Tish is a companion. Like I'm just saying the energy that she has. A supporting character that steps up and does something that doesn't seem like it was just nothing.
I disagree. Because I think, Tish did save Martha and pull her up, but after everything was done, it just seems...
No, at the moment, it's
Tish would not be a good companion. I don't think she
She
has
should be
it.
good.
Okay.
I'm just saying that she did more
she's
than
playing
just than just someone who's there for an audience reaction.
Right.
No, I enjoyed Tish in this episode. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing more of Tish, I think. I would almost be like, ooh, I wonder what it would be like if Tish and Martha were companions to the doctor.
I
And
wish
then
we
I'm
did
like,
see more of her.
maybe not. I don't know. There might be a lot of bickering being sisters.
I want to go back to the scene on the cathedral floor with Mark Geddes and the doctor
Before he
changes.
Yep.
It's a great scene. There's so many good little moments in that, even down to the "you're too young for the Blitz." Well, so are you. Mm-hmm. I think this is my favorite thing, and it's the thing that I keep coming back to in how the doctor looks at people. Lazarus says, "I'm more than an ordinary human," and the doctor's response is, "There's no such thing as an ordinary human."
Yep.
Yeah.
I have that here too.
And I mean, so for me, that's there it is laid out for you. That's what the doctor thinks of people. That he loves ordinary, and there's no such thing as ordinary, because ordinary is fantastic and unique and wonderful, and everything that any person does, regardless of how mundane, is brilliant.
Extraordinary.
Yeah, ordinary is anything but ordinary was the note that I wrote.
And it's interesting because the scorpion aspect reminds me a lot of the Arachnos, where we saw the doctor being the opposite, not compassionate. It was one of the things that made Donna not want to travel with the doctor. And now we're in the kind of similar moment, and he's showing a little bit more compassion. He's treating him with humanity.
Right.
I think that probably has something to do with the fact that he is human, and that even though the motivations for these crazy things that humans do are, evil or greedy or whatever, I think he appreciates people who work to accomplish something and discover something new. And so I think there's a part of him that's sort of respects him for, not just living that ordinary life, for being a scientist and wanting to discover something new. But of course it can't be that way. But he's had that sort of dynamic before, where he tells people, where he's fascinated, but he's like, but this can't happen.
Right. Because he does have that line, Lazarus says, "I'm going to need to feed soon." And his response back is, "I'm not going to let you do that." It's one of those, it's like where you see the villains, it's like, I'll take you someplace where you can live. But he knows in this situation, to feed means death for other human beings, for innocence. Even in that line where it's like, I agree with you now. He doesn't seem like he's talking to a villain. He's just saying, no, I'm just not going to let you do that. And two great actors just
Selling it.
they're totally committed to it, and it's not over the top. It's just the right tone, and I just love it.
Something I wanted to bring up was the literary reference. This is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper. It's a reference to The Hollow Man by T.S. Eliot.
Yeah, they probably read that line and they were like, we have to use this. And of course, they're having the immortality talk, which, David Tennant's doctor in particular seems to struggle a lot with losing everyone he loves. And is this really, the life that people would choose? I don't want to get morbid here, but sometimes he seems a little suicidal almost. If
Well, he does put himself in a lot of situations where he should have died.
But I think what really changed him, and he's still dealing with, is the Time War. And that's where the Doctor changed. His whole race and trying to kill all the Daleks. And you can see that with Christopher Eccleston's portrayal of it. And the one thing that helped him at that point was Rose. And when he lost her still recently, that still affected him so deeply. That's where he's reacting to. And there's no one for him to go to. And whenever he meets somebody else, it's not in his mind, somebody who's equal who could understand this. And now he's seeing somebody who's going to be starting this whole process. And he's coming from that place of hurt going, you don't get it. It is a curse. But the self-preservation is still there. He still wants to. He still will regenerate. He's not going suicidal, even though he has put himself in some of those situations. And to get us back on the lighter note, the bell tower and not use the bells. It's like the bell's right above them. You can see it. That resonance should have happened.
Yeah,
but
but
he goes for the
had-
whole
but he
organ.
Well, he had to program the organ with the sonic screwdriver to create that sound. The bell's just a bell.
It wasn't until last night watching this episode again and thought the organ was a little out of nowhere. But now I get it. Last night was the episode, was the time I went, oh, wait. They did foreshadow this. They did hint at it because the entire technology of what has happened to Lazarus was based on sonic manipulators. Sound is what's doing this to him. So the Doctor's going to use sound to completely destroy his DNA. I like that. Again, he uses a sonic screwdriver, like you said, so the bell wouldn't work. It wouldn't be enough. He uses the organ, and then they even layer in a sound joke into it where he says, I have to turn this up to 11.
Right.
I mean, Doctor Who makes a Spinal Tap
reference
as a joke.
And I don't think you can turn a bell up to any more than it already is.
It's not. I don't think that the plan was entirely that the organ would destroy him. It was the organ would hurt him, and if he was on top of the bell tower, he would fall to his death. I think that was the plan. Because otherwise, he could have just gone to he didn't have to be in the bell tower.
Yeah, he did, because that's where the resonance was going to hit him the worst.
Oh, okay. Well,
Because I just think it's the sound, and the sound is going to affect him and destroy him, and the added benefit was he falls to his death. And it's a kid's show. The only way that villains can die is to fall to their deaths. So
I agree with Brian. Excuse me.
those are my favorite words.
I do believe that it was meant to bring in that sonic to readjust his DNA or whatever it was going to be. I didn't like that it wasn't clearly given to the audience.
Yeah,
like, I don't need everything spoon-fed to me, but this was so ambiguous.
Yes.
That
It took me years before I finally got it and went, because you have to know about it ahead of time. The sonic references kind of come and go really quick.
And it could have been a very quick thing from the Doctor, like, I have to find the resonance of the DNA or something while he's playing. Just something to let the audience know, like, this is the Doctor, using art and music and his technology to negate what Lazarus did to himself in the chamber.
Yeah, I agree.
art
with that.
music
wow.
negates science.
Yeah, I missed all of that.
See,
I just thought it was loud noise, cause monster to fall.
No, and you want to
Monster
know,
dead.
you want to know how much I missed that? I missed it so much that I kept thinking to myself, why is he playing a song? Why doesn't he just lay on that keyboard?
I was thinking
Right.
that same thing.
Like, he's wasting time. Martha is dying. Like, what are you doing? But
It's the power of music.
That's how much I missed it,
Did
though.
you
Yeah.
learn nothing from the Carianites and the power of words?
I guess not.
When I originally watched this, I thought he was going to go up there and trap him inside the bell, like cut the bell loose and then drop him on the creature. That's not what happened.
Yeah.
But,
And now that I understand what they were going for, I do kind of prefer this to that. That is just like blunt force trauma.
yeah.
But I wanted the sonic to destroy the monster, not to make him fall.
Yeah.
I think they really
I
missed
agree.
the
Yes.
ending. They really missed it for why he's being the Phantom of the Opera, playing it. It's like he's playing this mad, crazy music. That you should see.
It should have shattered.
the creature
It should have
reverting
shattered.
back to some
Yeah.
human or
or going
mutates more.
mutating completely out of control. But the thing is, though, that would have been very expensive.
But it should have been. It just was a cheap
Yeah, like if
ending
it
at the
changed
end.
him, well, if
fell.
it made him resort back to human
In mid-fall?
up there, and then he fell because he couldn't hold on to anything because he wasn't
Ooh,
big.
that would be more graphic.
Yeah,
Yeah, because he does land as the monster.
as the monster.
Yeah, because if he landed as a human, that's going to be a stain.
Oh.
That's not going to be pretty. And I mean, I don't know how much, how did they sell Mark Gatiss on doing this? Like, you're going to be naked in like 3
I'm sure he was like,
scenes.
yes.
Oh, maybe
And it's going to be
thing.
cold on the floor.
Here's my theory for that, Eugene, because I was also thinking the same thing. My theory, because Mark Gatiss is connected to the show, he's like a writer and maybe producer. I
Nope,
don't
just
know.
writer,
Just
just
a
writer.
writer, just a writer. I almost think that they came up with this concept and Mark Gatiss was like, this can come off really silly, guys, if we don't add levity to Lazarus. And then he volunteered to be that person. This is based on nothing. I just want to say that, I didn't research. I just that's what I like to think is what happened.
Or they were like, oh, yeah? Well, if you know so much, why don't you do it?
Why don't you do it? Yeah, they're like, you're right, Mark, and no one can do that but you.
Back at Martha's apartment, the doctor asks if she would like to go on one more trip. She declines because she doesn't want to be just a passenger. He agrees. She is more than that. And together, they enter the TARDIS. As it disappears, her phone rings. It's her mother, who leaves a message warning her that the doctor is dangerous. She has information from Harold Saxon and knows the truth about the doctor.
I really enjoy that Martha says no.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love that
Yeah.
Martha says no.
Right?
And no, I'm not a passenger.
Yep.
Stop it. And I am glad that the doctor goes, you're right.
You're not.
But then he also says later, you were always more than a passenger.
And that's great that they acknowledge what's bubbling to up to the surface, and they finally address it instead of just sweeping it under the rug or
Right. But then there is also that petty part of me that wants Martha to turn and smack him and say, then don't treat me like this.
Yeah.
I wasn't always a passenger,
But she does. I mean, she doesn't quite have the gall to do that, but she sticks up for herself way more than.
Well,
If
she's a
I
better
were
character
her,
than- I
I'd
was
be
gonna
like,
say.
don't leave me.
Yeah.
I would probably be the super pathetic person if that was me. So I'm always like,
I'd have
good
changed-
for you, Martha. You go, girl.
I'd have chained myself to the TARDIS console going, I'm not leaving.
Right? That would have been me. So I respect her for having the strength. Albeit she wanted him to call her bluff, I think. But yeah, that's still way more than I personally would have ever been able to do.
But he teases her again, same as the beginning of the episode. Not telling her that she's home, but it's like, well, if that's the way you want it. And so she's leaving, and he's like, where are you going? What do you mean? Well, if that's the way you want it.
He's baiting her. He wants her
It's
to
like-
beg him or something.
Yeah, it's
I
like,
don't know.
but just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I see that as the doctor genuinely being oblivious.
No, he
thought
knows,
he
and he's
was-
like, no, come along. That's what you want.
But I don't like how they just jump back to Martha's home. Martha would have gone back to her family.
Yeah.
Martha and Tish would have checked in with her mom, and Leo, is everything okay? But we don't get that. And it's kind of awkward because then Francine is leaving a message on her phone, which I understand because of the script. That's how it has to be. So Martha doesn't get the information, but we do as a viewer. And had they met up, she would have said it to Martha's face.
Right.
But it's kind of like, no, Martha's not going to just disappear on
She's
her
not going
family.
to check on her brother who has a concussion.
Right. So that's
But
just
she
one little.
disappeared the first time.
Yeah, but that wasn't after a Scorpion King gave a concussion to her brother.
I think they did meet up. I think because of who Martha is, they must have met up. And I think the mysterious
mom
man came.
didn't-
But
and the
I think the
mom didn't
mysterious
warn
man.
her?
I think again, she said this time it's from Harold Saxon
Right.
directly. So she didn't meet him until later.
No, she didn't meet Harold Saxon.
I thought she said this came from Harold Saxon directly.
Because the mysterious man is from Harold Saxon.
Right,
That this
but-
is what he's whispering in her ear.
And I didn't get that. I thought
That she
they
had
would have
spoken.
met up another time. Like you said, that's not in character for the Doctor or Martha to just abandon everybody. Tish has to go back
Well, it's a
at night.
character for the Doctor, but not Martha.
Yeah.
Not in
Not
this
coming
case.
off of that.
I agree with you. There must have been something where they dumped Tish. So there must have been some
Right, she's not going along.
some unseen scene there.
And we never know what the mysterious man whispers.
No.
But to me, it was more against the Doctor because he kept saying that the Doctor, has death and destruction follow him.
Right.
All this stuff. So that's when she said, "Stay away from my daughter." And there's no other reference at that point. And then later on, this is now the third reference that Saxon's involved. somehow in Lazarus, and now it's like, no, this is coming from him. Stay away from the doctor.
There's a time jump in between when we saw them last in the bedroom.
Well, the mysterious man whispers, "Hail Hydra."
And then choose a
Thought he
capsule
was
and
telling
dies.
her about that.
But one scene that was filmed and that was cut is the doctor, when he puts on the tux, it's revealed that he participated in writing the United States Declaration of Independence. And in his dinner jacket pocket, he has the first draft folded up.
On a napkin.
I don't think it's a napkin.
I like that idea.
So yeah, they cut that out for some reason.
He
And
would
that's
not
on-
have been wearing that suit in 17.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a really
That's probably
modern
why they cut it
suit.
out.
Yeah, but he's a time traveler.
And that's true. He doesn't really change for the period very often.
Right, that was Captain Jack who would change
changed.
as a time agent to fit in.
But yeah, that one is on the DVD.
What, a whole scene? Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you said it was, I didn't realize it was filmed and everything.
That's what I said. And also another production note that pod was reused and redressed from the Satan Pit. That's the elevator capsule.
Oh.
Who is this episode good for? Meaning, this episode is good for who?
I'll go first. Okay, cool. I've never gone first before. What? Oh, okay, hold on. And for me, who is this episode good for? Because I really like season 3, I really want to say that this episode. Okay, hold on. Let me start over. Maybe I shouldn't go first. What's happening here? It's throwing me off. I've never gone first before.
Well, I can go first
Okay, you
because
go
you're probably
first,
going to
Brian.
talk off of mine.
Yeah, sure.
I think, honestly, I'm kind of a bit torn between for a casual viewer and someone who should already be a fan of Doctor Who. It's mainly because of the monster effects and also the resolution of the playing the organ. It's really good acting. It's clever in that it hints at a lot of different things.
Does
which, it does. Which, pushes me up towards casual viewer. But then I think, what's a casual viewer going to feel about the special effects? Is a casual viewer going to get all the Sonic references leading to a Sonic conclusion? Because I didn't for the very longest time. So I think that I might say that this one should be for someone who's already a fan of Doctor Who, knows what Doctor Who can be, and then they can watch this episode. And then they'll really like it, So that's what I think. Already be a fan of Doctor Who.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Brian with a lot of what you just said. And I'm worried that an episode like this might turn off a casual viewer from continuing to watch and then become a fan. But I don't think it would because of Gaddis's strong performance. I believe that if a casual viewer, stumbled upon this episode even a little bit out of context, I don't think it would turn them away from Doctor Who. And so I'm going to say that this episode is good for a casual viewer and fans, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay, I just want to make sure I'm saying my category correctly.
There's not much to add to what you both have said. I agree with that. It's between whether it's the fan or someone who casually watches. And I would go casual viewer, just because it does have a lot of fun. It's an encompassed episode. It has enough where Francine's playing it if you don't really know the story. She's getting a lot that there's going to be a lot of dark aspects to the Doctor. So you get that if you're not too familiar with it. So I don't think you need to be a complete fan. But I think casual viewer.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't like this episode for a long time, and I liked it more again when I watched it last night. But as we've talked about it, I like it even more because of all the subtext. But a casual fan's not going to know the subtext. But like you guys were saying, I think a casual viewer's also going to know some of the effects aren't all that great in a lot of the shows, and there's a lot of silliness. And I think the production and direction of this episode will be just fine for someone who's casual enough, like, yeah, I want to watch an episode of Doctor Who, and that monster was silly, but that was really cool, like, just the ideas in it and all the things, so I think it's good for that. But, again, ends up being another episode where I was not looking forward to watching, and I ended up digging it more because I had a different mindset when I was watching it.
I agree with everyone except for me. I wasn't really looking forward to watching it, and after I still was like, Okay. And I can't actually put my finger on why. I think this episode is not bad. It just doesn't move me in any direction.
It is a bit even.
It's just, yeah, it's kind of almost generic.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I guess based on what I'm saying right now, maybe I'll just say it's for the fan.
No, I mean, everyone's saying things that I agree with. I will put it in the fan category of Doctor Who, along with Brian and Heather. I think if you had a supercut of just Mark Gaddis's transformations, I would put that into the casual or Who Knew. But with everything put together, the monster, the weird ending, there's some other things that aren't quite on point for me. I'm going to put it into you should be a fan of Doctor Who to watch this, to enjoy this episode.
Yeah, the strongest points are subtext.
Yeah. I like that this episode, the villain is a human and not an alien. I think this is the first time that the villain is starting off as a human and something happens to the human rather than an alien introducing itself into a human. And for that's worth noting. And also, like you guys have said, the performances are great. And I wish if, like Star Trek The Next Generation, they had redone the effects. If they would to do Mark Gatiss, the Scorpion effect again, I would like to see what that would look like if they would update those effects. But for me, this is going to have to go into a casual category. Lazarus, he should have been called Professor Creeperson. So you've heard our thoughts on the Lazarus experiment. What do you think about the opening sequence with Martha and the doctor? Email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. That wraps up the Lazarus experiment. Join us next time when the future becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady.
Find him on Facebook
at The Universe Explodes.
All our episodes are engineered by our very own Auburn.
Find me at auburnbinkley.com.
You can find this show in several places.
Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcasts.
Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher.
Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com.
You can leave comments there or email us at
whoknewpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who,
the longest running sci-fi show in history,
and especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell,
Sydney Newman,
Verity Lambert,
Ron Grainer,
and all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain. I'm on a roll. I know. This is my culmination of 2.5 seasons.
Or is it?
I'm going to try to only have one cookie today. That is my goal.
Did you already eat it though?
I have.
Goal achieved.
If any of you have ever listened to it and gone, wow, do I sound like that? You sound exactly like that. Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet, has it? Oh, it did. Yeah, of course it's happened. Right?
It's all happening
Yeah.
at the same time.
That's my role on this show.
exactly.
Dummy.
You did that well.
You're the companion of the
Yes,
Doctor
I am.
Who episode of life.
You fit in.
I figured I would.